more stuff. And I'm back, baby. Yes, sir. Time to once again delve into the monthly offerings of one Vinegar Syndrome. Why? Well, because I desperately need views, and y'all like cardboard. And hell, I gotta write off this annual subscription somehow. Let's talk about the February 2023 selections from Vinegar Syndrome. Baby, yeah. At some point, I'll circle back around to the January releases. There's some great shit in there, but February is a pretty easy look-see because I actually worked on 2 of these discs. We got Devonsville Terrror and Goodbye 20th Century. So let's start with those.
I'm Jenny.
Nice to meet you, Jenny. It's a nice lady like you doing in a place like this.
You come from Princeton? That's a very sophisticated place. Things are a lot more basic here.
Most religions, we know God is a man. But originally, God was considered to be a woman.
A lot of men still have trouble with the idea that women want to make their own money and their own choices.
Members of my family have contracted the disease. Those who have not contributed.
Contributed what?
To help to erase the guilt of the Inquisition.
What was his name? What marks were left by the devil on your body and on your soul?
I have just as much right to be here as anyone else. I'm not hurting anyone.
The Devonsville Terrror is one of several regional follow-ups to Uli Lomel's 1980 film The Boogeyman, shot in the same rapid succession of collaborations with his wife Suzanne Love, aka Suki Love, who of course had previously starred in The Boogeyman, as well as Olivia and Brainwaves. They would eventually divorce since by all accounts Uli Lomel, not a great husband, but not before making a pretty memorable body of work.
Not today, Satan.
Devonsville Terrror, released in 1983, is, I guess it could be argued it's the least of these productions, unless you count Boogeyman 2, which, you know, maybe you shouldn't, unless you love the impetus behind Matrix Resurrections. Actually, that's a pretty good idea for a video. Let's bookmark that. Anyway, Devonsville Terrror is still a pretty solid little horror flick about witchcraft and the men who fear it.
I now realize that I should have appreciated your feelings for me sooner.
And actually, it's better. It's probably better than Brainwaves. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It was a good time. They worked well together. Anyway, the story follows a young teacher named Ginny, played by Suki Love, who moves to the town of Devonsville 300 years after a horrific witch trial that killed 3 women. Oddly enough, 2 other women, both as much the feminist ideal as Ginny, have also just moved to the town. Interesting. Anyway, Ginny meets the creeper Charlie from Star Trek, who, you know, could theoretically be a love interest, and the guy who played Blofeld for like 10 minutes that one time. He's the town doctor who is plagued by worms growing out of his skin. Sure.
Maggots, Michael.
Due to a curse cast on the town after the aforementioned witch murder. Hence the Devonsville Terrror. There's also one of the Bobs from Office Space who has recently killed his wife, not a great start, and is plagued by visions of Ginny. All this inevitably leads to a properly feminist conclusion, although not before satisfying the audience's righteous bloodlust.
We shall win this time.
Devonsville isn't quite as bizarre or hokey as The Boogeyman, but I think that there's a strong argument to be made that it surpasses Olivia simply by strength of script. It's a very tight film, setting up a conflict and following through in a really pleasing way. It's got faults, Well, the Mel film doesn't.
It might very well be that I don't know how to relate to a woman anymore.
But the central plots following Ginny and local murderous scumbag / general store owner Walter are engaging, and even Donald Pleasance's rapidly shot single location role is enjoyable as he interacts with and links various characters.
I have a feeling you were sent here for some reason.
Yes. To make a living teaching little devils.
Do you believe in witchcraft?
He's also just a fucking thespian hero, baby! I like the man's work. Also, this happens. Good times. Extras-wise, I didn't revisit the ones I edited, which was in like January of 2022, I think. But suffice it to say, they contain a shitload of great tidbits from filming, as well as just pure chaotic weirdness, courtesy of Suki Love, who is not the easiest subject to edit. She's all over the place in a good way. There's also a short but enjoyable archival interview with Uli Lamel, who of course died in 2017. If you look at the actual bones here, beautiful slipcover. I love what we got here. This is grade A stuff. La 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 la. We also get this baller OG poster artwork on the front. That's the alternate artwork, and yeah, you know, it's pretty simple stuff. But it looks nice. Again, I love this slip. I did not think it would get such a beautiful slip. Don't expect too much of this guy. This guy's not really a major player, but he looks cool. Highly recommend this disc. Just, you know, don't expect a ton of violence between the opening and conclusion. This one's more atmosphere and character dynamics based, and worms, maggots, whatever. So your mileage may vary depending on what you're looking for. If you like Boogeyman or Olivia, definitely pick this one up if you haven't already. In my opinion, the majority of Lamel's 80s cycle are worth owning, and I hope to see more in the future. Looking at you, Strangers in Paradise. Seriously, I need to retire this VHS. Give me a Blu-ray. Now let's travel from the wilds of Wisconsin to the otherworldly hellscape that is Macedonia. Now don't get offended, I'm sure it's a nice place, but 1998's Goodbye 20th Century... Oh, buddy. But 1998's Goodbye 20th Century is my first experience with a film shot in North Macedonia, so I'm just gonna assume that this is how people dress there.
Твоя непредвидлива како минакот. Майка ти иконија.
Just remember, the death is not the end. Добре дојдовте во последната ноќ од 20 век.
Море носи се бре у пизду матери.
To describe Goodbye 20th Century's plot is a bit of a motherfucker. Part of the problem is that the filmmakers clearly set out to make something weird and more than a bit obtuse, which I can certainly see frustrating a lot of viewers. This thing is not terribly interested in being cohesive, at least not on a surface level. It also draws a lot from Macedonian history, which, shock and awe, not my strong suit.
Сите сакате да се бричите, а никој неќе да знае што го чека. Добро, што народ ќе бевте?
I do know that the region has a pretty turbulent history, with lots of war and transference of power, and as a country, it's fairly new, having declared independence from Yugoslavia in 1991, and only transitioning from Macedonia to North Macedonia in 2019. But I mean, before that, it was, It's also old as shit. It was part of the Ottoman Empire. There's so much to take in. It's a whole mishmash. There's lots of drama with Greece or something. I don't know. I'm American. I don't partake. Anyway, it's a lot to take in, especially just to understand one artsy movie that promises to feature a crazed Santa Claus. And actually, that's a good place to start. Let's get one thing out of the way up top. This is not a Killer Santa movie. See this fucking guy right here? Not a big part of the movie. Not the huge, not what you should go in expecting. You know, this fucking poster over here, this fucking bonkers ass shit that's for some reason not the, it's not the artwork, that's not the alternate artwork on the disc, it drives me nuts. But this fucking rad shit right here, not what the movie's about, baby. In fact, the Santa Claus often associated with Goodbye 20th Century via that rad as fuck poster only shows up in the final segment of the film, and even then is honestly one of the least bonkers things about it. So, yeah, don't go in expecting a Christmas horror treat. That's the summation. The actual plot, such as it is, follows an immortal man named Kuzman and his journey. Kuzman sounds like a spice. Sounds like something you'd use to make, I don't know, hummus? Anyway, it follows an immortal man named Kuzman and his journey toward finally engaging with the peace that is death. Same fam. He's essentially put on trial by a discount Balkan version of a Mad Max troupe, talks philosophy with a guy, and even gets his dick wet thanks to... Okay. And that's just the first segment. Admittedly, the second one is like a couple minutes long, and then we leap back to 1999 for Santa time. Let's just call it Santa time. I don't know, man. I watched it once so I could edit the interviews, and even delving through those really didn't tell me enough to really understand everything. Nor do I think that's really the filmmaker's intent. If anything, I'm willing to bet that Darko Matrevsky and Alexander Popovsky would find it tough to accurately describe this little booster shot of anarchy themselves. That's not to say that there's not oodles of subtext here, some of it honestly pretty straightforward, but that it's so mixed up with stylistic flourishes and weird for the sake of weird that it's often tough to delineate what's saying something and what's not. Which is fine. That's basically a description of any David Lynch movie, so it's not me detracting from the film, it's just I think you should know going in what you're in for, and it's not really necessarily what you're being promised. There's a lot of quirkiness here, and whether or not the subtext entirely works, that bizarre tone and batshit naballery is what you're slamming down your $1 for, you dig? The way this sucker is often described, including on the back of this disc, is as Mad Max via Alejandro Jodorowsky, and while I don't think that's setting the viewer up for success per se, it does give you an idea of the all-out war on logic that the plot entails. This is some formalist shit over here, man. That said, both the majority of Mad Max movies and Jodorowsky's filmography are leaps and bounds above Goodbye 20th Century. Obviously Thunderdome is an exception in there. But, you know, is that a knock on the film itself? Not really. Just a warning to keep your expectations in check. At the very least, as I find myself struggling to pay bills and hemming and hawing on what to sell off in the event I need to, I guess it's on both sides. This sucker is nowhere near making it on the eBay list. It's a solid film, some good interviews from what I can recall, and yet another strong release from Vinegar Syndrome. Excuse me. You know what? Now would be a good time to do an ad break so I can go take a shit.
I was just wondering if you wanted to, go out sometime.
You want to get a coffee?
Now?
Well, hello there, buckaroos. Sleazy Michael here, broadcasting straight from hell, using quite a few Ouija boards to get my message through. I just want to say real quick that it's been far too long since we had ourselves some intimate time with some proper cinema. So I think we need to make this happen. Unfortunately, these particular satanic rites that are gonna get me back on your viewing screens require 10,000 subscribers to this very channel. Sorry, Sleazy Michael. don't make the rules. Safe words. So please make sure to like and subscribe to this here video channel thing. I don't understand how this stuff works. And make my dreams come true.
Hey, Slazy Michael, come on back. We're gonna watch some more Singing in the Rain.
Coming now, Satan. Subscribe. All right.
दुनिया का ऐसा वाहिद मुल्क है जहाँ हर तरह का असला बनाया और बेचा जाता है तो講到生化武器冇人做，我哋伊拉克做到陣都冇人啦。
犯法喎，冇辦法，點冇辦法先得㗎？
喪屍。
Finally, 1998's Biozombie from Ip Man and SPL Killzone director Wilson Yip. Strong pedigree. This one is one of those big cult classics I know a lot of folks had on their radar for the deluxe Blu-ray treatment, and you know, here it is. Look at that. They got this fun rigid jacket thing. It's got the, you know, the fun visuals and junk, and then you got your slip cover. Look at that. Look at that fucking. Look at this. Oh my god. Did I get that too close? Here we go. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that fucking... Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. And then it just comes right off. There's so many layers to this. It's like a fucking onion. Makes me cry. And then if you open her up, you get... much like Goodbye 20th Century, you don't get any of the OG artwork, but you can get different stuff on that side. It has a fucking booklet. Look at that. Look at that. A fucking... Oh, a fucking booklet. That's the kind of stuff, that's what gets the juices flowing, you know what I'm saying? Hey! I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Biozombie. What a time. Oh shit. Fuck. What a time to be alive. I actually have, I've had the DVD. Get in there, you son of a bitch. I've had the DVD of this for a long time now, and even had it in my watch list as far back as like high school, thanks to the trailer I saw in various DVDs from way back in the long ago. I think there might have been like some Italian movie, I don't know. And I just never got around to it, meaning I've yet to relish in the unofficial English dub everyone went cuckoo over. Nope, instead I had to settle for subs like a fucking nerd. Plot-wise, not too much to go into here. We got some movie pirates selling their wares in a Hong Kong shopping mall, various other employees of other shops, and a small-time gangster who also happens to be these boys' boss, one botched deal with Iranian weapons goons, and an unfortunate trip to grab the boss's car later, and our bunch of working-class bozos are facing off against a horde of zombies. Tale as old as time. There's a lot of playful filmmaking in this one, including an amazing split screen and one of those character select video game gags that Uwe Boll later used in House of the Dead. Bolstering this style is a distinctly 90s feel, thanks in large part to the use of video games within the film, a store selling pirated movies on VCD, and prominent use of a Game Boy camera. Not to mention just being entrenched in mall culture, which per these supplements seems mostly dead in Hong Kong, and frankly seems kinda dead around here as well.
做咩啊？你喺度
Now, all that said, Biozombie is a bit of a mixed bag for me, mostly because I'm just not that into zombie movies, especially ones where the subtext is borderline nil. There is something about consumerism here, and it's telling that the zombie virus originates from an energy drink, but that plus the claustrophobic mall setting and lackluster makeup make this feel like Dawn of the Dead light at times. Not that Biozombie is devoid of themes or anything. Not only, it tackles consumerism, but and video game culture and the value of friendship and the power of love, yada yada yada. It's just, I'd like a little more meat with my potatoes with something like this. It also takes a little while to really get going, about an hour, which isn't too fun if you aren't, entertained by our litany of dickhead characters. My light died. That makes me sad. Okay. I finally do a big video again, and this is what fucking happens. Alright. I'm also not sure certain beats past that point really work as well as they should have, but that might just be me not getting what I'd hoped for with certain characters. But the style, half and half strong cast of characters, and a shockingly downbeat ending, not to mention Sushi Boy, whom I love with all my heart, mostly make up for that. On the disc, we get an equally sad sack alternate ending, an okay video essay by Chris O'Neill, mostly just explaining the positives of Biozombie, and a 19-minute interview with Wilson Yip, who confirms that there's, not much to say politically in Biozombie, and it is in fact an homage to Dawn of the Dead, which, doy. Rounding out the extras is a commentary by Hong Kong film historian Frank Zhang, who provides a ton of contextual information. He does do this thing where he throws out lots of kind of useless information that's obviously just in his notes. Like he'll say that a certain actor appeared in, let's say 12 films between 1990 and 2020 or whatever. Otherwise, though, strong commentary and really helped me grasp onto some significance that just went over my white boy noggin. So anyway, with that said, and with presumably something about to explode, how would I rank these releases this month if you can only choose one or two? I would say that Devonsville Terrror is certainly the best film of the bunch, with Biozombie in second and Goodbye 20th Century in third. They're all strong releases, though. These are just really good movies. I feel like I was maybe a little down on Biozombie, but that's just, I'm not really into zombie movies. But it is a lot of fun. It's Versus. I was just going to say, it's not as fun as something like Versus, and I just realized, I think that the old Versus DVD is where I saw the Biozombie trailer first. I think so. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's where I first saw it. Anyway, I think these are solid films, all of them worthwhile to own in your collection, and this was just a really strong February for Vinegar Syndrome. We'll take a look at the March stuff once that comes in. And, that's it. Go watch a movie.
An agonizing death.
Ako ti se dopada, zemio.